All right, good morning. Welcome. My name is Greg Fenves, President of the University of Texas. Yesterday, Steve Patterson resigned as men's athletic director here at the University of Texas. I accepted his resignation. It was a mutual decision. Steve is a talented sports executive, brought many good ideas to UT Athletics and Texas athletics, and he had a very positive impact on many aspects of the department and our programs. I wish Steve the best in his future endeavors in business and in sports. I'm very grateful and feel the university is very fortunate that on short notice, very short notice, that Mike Perrin has agreed to serve as the interim men's athletic director. Let me say a few words about Mike, and then I know he wants to speak. Mike has sat in every seat at this university. He's been a student. He's been an athlete, a letterman on Coach Royal's teams in the 1960s. He has 2 degrees from the university, undergraduate degree and a law degree. For over 30 years, he has worked with the athletics department on a volunteer basis. He was the first letterman to serve on the Women's Athletic Council. Great service to this university, while he has had an outstanding professional career as one of the most prominent attorneys in Texas. Mike has managed 2 law firms, has dealt with complicated cases and litigation, and everybody that I've talked with that knows Mike says he has absolute integrity and confidence in his ability to lead our great athletics department. I've gotten to know Mike in the few years that I've been at the University of Texas, and that is my judgment too. He has complete integrity and impeccable judgment. UT Athletics is the front door to the University of Texas for so many people. The Longhorn Nation looks to the university often through our athletics programs, and it's a great asset and a great benefit to this university. And our athletics program, with an incredible tradition and history, reflects the values of the university. And one of those values is the student and the student athlete. Our student athletes who we recruit to come to the campus to serve on to play on our intercollegiate teams, perform on the field at the highest level. They train hard. They work together as a team. And they're also students trying to achieve academic success, and we are very proud of the academic success of our students and the programs that support them. My goal as president for our Department of Athletics is to continue the historic tradition of Longhorn athletics, of excellence and quality, perseverance, and doing it the right way. And I know this department has done it, and I'm absolutely confident that Mike Perrin, in his interim role, will continue that strong tradition of supporting our student athletes and being the front door to the University of Longhorn Nation. Please let me introduce Mike Perrin as the interim men's athletic director at the University of Texas. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay.
Thank you very much, President Fenves. I welcome the opportunity to serve with you and lead athletics forward as we continue. I came to this campus 50 years ago, drawn because of the electricity and excitement that I felt from watching Coach Darrell Royal and his team prepare for the Orange Bowl. I was here in December of 1964 for a practice, and you could feel the electricity of the team and the coaches as they prepared for that game. It was a feeling I've never forgotten. I hope I never do, and I certainly haven't as of today. Truly a great feeling that led me to come here, and then to spend 4 years playing football for the University of Texas with the thrill of running onto Memorial Stadium, the stands full of cheering fans, and our support from the band and others. It was, again, something that became a part of me and will always be. My leadership experience off the field in the 40-some-odd years since then I think has prepared me to deal with this complex organization. I've dealt in a highly regulated field of litigation where regular interpretation of statutes and other relevant legal standards are important, and certainly we want to maintain the integrity of this program going forward. The student athlete, the very concept of somebody gaining their education, coming here at the age of 18, gaining an education and life experiences is integral to what the University of Texas and other leaders in intercollegiate athletics do. I stand firmly behind our coaches. I know Charlie Strong personally. I know Shaka Smart. I've visited with them before. In fact, we visited this morning, and I think we have an excellent staff of coaches across the panoply of sports and teams, men's and women's. I look forward so much to working with them. My first commitment is to these student athletes. We ask young people to come here. After reflection, they come. We're obligated to house them, feed them, educate them, provide equipment, and hopefully teach them better ways of practicing their sport, whatever it is, to the maximum extent of their abilities. But more than that, we try to teach them life values. I had some great experiences that didn't come from the classroom, it didn't come from practice sessions, and didn't come from the field. They were dealing with budgeting time and meeting deadlines and being punctual and growing up in the sense that you have to do from high school through college. It was a tremendous experience. And because of the way that we ask these students to come, and we do take that responsibility, that is the highest priority for me is the existing student athletes. And that's important because they come from a school or a system, a coaching staff. They have others they influence. And so the proper treatment of those that are here influences recruiting in the future, retention, and it's just integral to the validity and amateur status of our intercollegiate athletics. I've been concerned. I sat in the stands last week and saw empty seats. I tell you, there's nothing greater than the field of being on the competition field, being in the arena, and fans, band members, your peers supporting you. There's nothing like it. And it concerns me that fans last week voted with their feet. I intend to reach out to the entire Longhorn Nation. I have sat as a student. I have sat in the stands. I've been a donor. I've been actively involved, and I want to reach out to the Texas X's, to the other alumni group, whether they be Letterman or others. I want to be a source of interface with all aspects of the Longhorn Nation because I want the fans there. These are changing times in intercollegiate athletics. A challenge to me is going to be keeping up with the change and yet still being true to our great traditions here. The continuity on the one hand and the change on the other is something that I dedicate myself to. My wife and I have spent many years in service at the University of Texas. Our children came here. I hope that my grandchildren feel that way one of these days, but this is a position and a time in my life where when President Fenves asked me if I was available on an interim basis, I readily agreed, did so joyfully and hopefully, and am very pleased to be here. I'm glad to answer any questions that some of you may have, and would throw the floor open to Mr. Susswine for that.
Again, indicate if you have a question you want to ask, and we'll start with you guys. Anyone from TV?
You talked about you've done it all at this university. How proud are you to take this? It's a very sensitive time right now to take this post. How much pride do you take into it?
The seriousness of the job I've been asked to do is very important to me. To come here and wear the orange and white is just a very valuable activity that I went through a long time ago, and it's stayed with me ever since. It is a thrill to be back totally in a different role. I look forward to it. It's just hitting me at the right time in my life to come back and help a new administration under President Fenves serve in this interim position. So I'm excited about it. I really am excited about it. It's a great time in my life to be giving back.
We've heard some indications of a specific timeline. Can you give us any idea, if you have a ballpark, as to how long you anticipate acting as interim athletic director?
Interim is at the pleasure of the president, and I would hope to be here long enough to see whatever changes would be appropriate under his administration. We've got a great group of student athletes. I've met with the coaches and staff this morning. I'm so excited about the chance to meet some of the students more closely and work with them. There is no finer educational opportunity for a student athlete in the country than at the University of Texas in Austin, because not only do we have great coaches and great facilities, we have academic support, a faculty that has always been engaged, and I think the entire package is something that I'm glad to work with and try to advance under the service of President Fenves. Thank you.
Mike, right here. You said you met with Charlie and Shaka, two new coaches who would be very concerned when the person that hired them is no longer here. What were their thoughts to you? What did they express to you, and what did you tell them about, your support for them and their programs?
I've got two different answers to that, because I did meet twice with Coach Strong on other occasions. I was privileged to spend some time with him last year when he was just going through his first spring training, and we just hit it off. He's the real thing in terms of humanity, dedication to education, devotion to his craft of taking young men and making them in a better place. I'm just so impressed with him in that regard. And then had a chance again this spring to spend time with him again. He's the kind of coach that players want to follow and play hard for. I think when you see the way the team played last week, particularly the enthusiasm of some of the special teams and the big plays that we saw from special teams and freshmen, that kind of enthusiasm is infectious, and it doesn't end just with the players. A coach has to foster that as well, and Charlie Strong is enthusiastic, hardworking. I consider him a personal friend, and I look forward to continuing to support him. I'm very strong about that as a former football player. Coach Smart, it's one of those serendipitous things. My wife and I were driving to Houston the day that he had his press conference. Somebody called us and said, "Hey, the new coach is here today." And I did a left turn off of Interstate 10 and came to the press conference. So I met him first that day, and I've seen him several times since then when he's toured with ex-students groups and things like that. If you don't get infectious about basketball with Shaka Smart, your switch isn't turned on. He is you watch the enthusiasm with which his teams play, their conditioning, the tempo. He is something special, and I wanted to reach out to him at the earliest opportunity and let him know, especially as a new coach who hadn't even had his first year here, that I'm behind him 100%, and I will remain so.
You mentioned the attendance this weekend and kind of being a concern to you. By all accounts, there's been some damage done to the athletic department internally and externally. How do you start to kind of mend those fences and make people feel better about it again?
I think that part of what I can do as interim athletic director is be a source of meeting with fan bases, meeting with ex-students groups, continuing to support the program every way I can, and perhaps putting a face on some of the fans from across the state that aren't always thinking about that. It is so important to the student athlete that they have a full house when they play. You draw energy on it. It promotes the atmosphere, and again is not only important for that performance but for recruiting and retention going forward. Plus, let's think about the families of the players. The mothers and the dads, the younger brothers, younger sisters, they like it when you've got the full atmosphere of the fan base being there, the fan base being engaged. It's very important, and I want to do whatever I can to foster that. If that means traveling, I'm glad to do that. If it means visiting with people one-on-one, I'm glad to do that.
Mike, a couple of things are hanging in the balance. Obviously, the shoe deal, the exclusive negotiating window with Nike. If you have any, are you going to be directly handling that? And the Joe Wickline lawsuit with Oklahoma State, any thoughts on whether the school or you, the athletic department, should be involved in settling that?
Let me answer those separately. The Nike contract, of course, is very, very important, as any apparel contract would be. Through my legal career, I've negotiated a lot of different kinds of contracts, but more importantly, we have an excellent staff of people who have dealt with not only the wording of the contract, but the history of it as applied, as used, as it's functioned, and with observations of other relationships between other suppliers and other universities. So that's one of those areas that I'll be drawing heavily on staff experience and the intercollegiate athletic experience with those companies. With regard to the Wickline lawsuit, all I really know about that at present is what I've read in the paper. Both sides appear to be represented by very competent counsel. I'll have to know more about that and really can't speculate. I know as a lawyer, I don't always like somebody, second guessing maybe what I've done as a strategic or tactical approach. So I'm going to have to defer to the lawyers handling that. It is my understanding that it is not a departmental matter. The university was not sued, as I understand the pleadings.
Mike, some of the reasons your predecessor received some criticism had to do with changes in ticket prices and emphasis on going overseas, a variety of those kinds of issues. Can you undo any of that, or you kind of just press forward with what he started and make adjustments? I don't presently plan to undo what is in place. We've got a season underway, we've got a school year underway, we've got things in place. I do think that some of the people that have spoken to me have expressed a desire to revisit some of those issues. I assume that there were pro and con discussions not only on whether to do something but also on what to do and what degree or range of change might be made. So I know that's been a very controversial point with a lot of people. That concerns me when I'm wanting the stands to be full, so I will need to look into that.
Mike, just over in your conversation with alumni and donors, how dire had things become over the last 5-6 months? And secondly, is there a scenario where you would want to or could take over full-time as AD and drop the interim term? I'm not an English major, but the word interim to me is has a real meaning. So whatever President Fenves attaches to that is my use of it as well. I do think that it is important for me to be proactive with donors, with fan groups, with our student athletes and their families and their high school coaches because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. I'm not placing any arbitrary limits on where I will go or what groups I'll speak to. I think that to adequately serve President Fenves and the University of Texas, I need to be active in working on some of those relationships from day one. I don't have a total feel for that. I've seen different numbers, and I'll need to know more of the hard data on that. But it certainly it's symptomatic of some people losing their support. I read stories of so-and-so didn't renew their tickets after years or whatever, and that concerns me because if you get that kind of erosion, it can begin to feed on itself. And I'm sorry I didn't cover the first part of that. Thank you for reminding me.
Mike, when were you first approached about taking this job, and would you be part of the search to find your successor?
I was first approached last week on Labor Day. I was at home about to fire up the grill, and my phone rang, and I answered the phone, and it was
President Fenves, and he asked me if I would consider talking to him about being a part of his administration possibly as an interim director of men's intercollegiate athletics. We talked Sunday, and obviously there were other things going on between the administration and Mr. Patterson, which I was not a part of at all. I'm here to serve at the President's pleasure. What that leads to is really beyond any knowledge or indication that I have today.
Mike, we noticed the
Yes.
we noticed the illustrious DeLoss Dodds is present today. Did you speak with him about some of the challenges that you're going to be facing?
I couldn't hear very well. Was the question, did I speak to DeLoss Dodds about
Yes, sir.
something? I spoke to him briefly after I had met with President Fenves. DeLoss has been a personal friend of mine ever since he came here through my involvement as a donor and as a volunteer from time to time. And he's someone whose counsel I will seek if he's available and wishes to share it with me. I respect him very much. Yes, sir.
I guess I have a question actually for both of y'all along kind of the same subject, which is kind of the importance of the relationships you already have with the university community. You know, for President Fenves, how important was that in making him the right choice for this job? And how do you think that kind of will help you as you take over?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for reminding me that DeLoss Dodds is here today. Thank you, DeLoss, for being here and your tremendous service to the University of Texas and our great athletics department. It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to Mike. And I think what DeLoss has done through his career is develop long-term relationships, and that is very important to me. That is part of the culture here at the University of Texas. As Mike talked about, his family is multi-generational Longhorns and Longhorn fans. And it was an important factor in me asking Mike to serve in this role.
And I intend to follow up with whatever groups are appropriate to capitalize on the relationships I have. I've already spoken to Leslie Cedar at the Texas Exes and told her that I was available to speak to various groups there. I would anticipate setting up an interview with their publications consistent with their schedule. I'm not walking into this as a stranger to the UT community. A number of us that played together under Coach Royal get together regularly. I know some of the younger alumni players that are out there, certainly through the practice of law and the UT law alumni. I generally know somebody in every town, every county, and I've made myself available in that regard. I think that perhaps some of us of my vintage represent a unique opportunity to span what has been, but also look forward as the sports changes, because it is evolving so rapidly with the 24/7 coverage, the blogs, tweets. One of my grandchildren told me if I've heard about it, nobody uses it anymore. So that may be where we are with electronic stuff. But to answer your question simply, I'm going to draw upon every relationship I have to spread the flag. And in that regard, I've had the most heartwarming flood of texts, emails, phone calls from former teammates and classmates and folks that I was either in school here with or competed against. It's been heartwarming, and I intend to capitalize on those for the University of Texas benefit.
President Fenves, you had mentioned that this was a mutual separation between the university and the athletic director. Generally, there's some sort of disagreement when that happens. Where did you see the program going that was different from where Mr. Patterson saw the program going?
Well, when I became president, it's hard to believe it was 3 months ago, but when I became president 3 months ago, started talking with Steve, and we had very good discussions and a very good working relationship. that continued throughout the process. But I felt that there were certain things, especially that I'd like to see, and he understood that, and so we recognized that it was that we weren't always in seeing eye to eye, and it was a mutual decision. I don't want to go into too many specifics. I think what I've said earlier, what's very important to me is our relationships with our fans, with our season ticket holders, with the alumni, and they feel good about coming to the University of Texas, feel good about following Texas athletics. So that's what's important to me, and I know that's what's important to Mike.
For President Fenves, he kind of answered the question, but was there anything that accelerated the decision over the last week if you contacted?
There was nothing that precipitated it. There was nothing that accelerated it.
Back here, and then I know Chuck has one.
This is for President Fenves. Okay. Some of the faculty have expressed discontent in recent months with the ticket price changes, and I was wondering what plan you'll have to change that, and if that would go into effect this season or wait until next season. Yeah,
I think Mike is going to look at everything, including the whole ticketing pricing mechanism. The season's already underway. I would think in most cases it's not possible to make changes. We have a huge operation. Earlier this morning, I did talk with Coach Strong, indicated to the coach my strong support for him. He is running a terrific program with young student athletes that had a fantastic game at Rice. I did emphasize to the coach, I'm especially interested in defeating Cal this week. As a Cal alumnus and a longtime faculty member, we both met with all the coaches and the executive staff, and then an all-hands meeting in the athletic department. And our message is we're going to keep going. And this is a big operation, and we need to keep the operation going. So I don't anticipate in the short term any major changes, just because we are already underway with the current football season.
President.
Okay.
Mike, I was just curious. Okay. You talked about you wanted to be here long enough as interim AD to see some changes made. I was just curious, as interim AD, have you been assured that you have the authority that an AD would have to affect some of these changes?
President Fenves has not limited my authority in that regard. If I understand your question correctly, he doesn't have me on a short leash other than that which is implied in interim. So I'm going to look at everything that I can and work with the experienced staff we've got and proceed forward. As he said, the academic year has started, football has started, volleyball and soccer are ongoing. We have a full year ahead of us, and it's part of my job to keep things moving, and I intend to do that. Thank you.
President Fenves, are you going to form a search committee, hire an outside search firm, and also, I think somebody used the term damage has been done possibly. Would it be helpful to just kind of wait this out and take your time if needed?
Well, my focus today is a smooth and quick transition with Mike as interim athletic director. We got that started today with great meetings with the coaches and with the staff. I've not made any decision or any plans beyond getting through this transition successfully, and I have every confidence that we will. We had great meetings this morning with the athletics department. So thank you everyone for your questions, great questions, and I just want to come up here, have Mike come up here and thank him again, and we are going forward in Texas athletics. Hook 'em horns.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.